All right. Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Judith Briles, and this is another awesome edition of the Your Guide to Book Publishing podcast. And we are going to be hitting on, it's been all May, we've been hitting on marketing related things and going in. I always love to start with a little quote from my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty Success for Authors and Writers. And I'm going to kick it off with this one. Book success is not about depth and belly button gazing. It's about marketing to what the reader wants or needs an answer to. With that, we always like to thank our sponsors, AuthorU-Your, a membership organization for authors who desire to be seriously successful. The Book Shepherd for book success. One of my themes is we help you create a book you don't have to apologize for. And of the 18 books I published with New York, there were only 2 I didn't have to make an excuse about some boo-boo on it or within it. And NZ Graphics, Nick Zellinger, who does awesome book design, cover design, and Rebecca Finkel with FPGD.com Designs, who not only makes awesome book covers and interior designs, but awesome swag and websites. So thanks to them for making us possible to come play with you each week. And with that, we have the amazing, off the wall, good friend, marketing guru, John Kremer, with us. Again, we like to have John on a few times a year because I never know where he's going to lead us. It's kind of an open-ended thing. We could be ending up talking about his Uncle George for all I know. I don't think he has an Uncle George, but I think I never know what is dropping in on John to share with you to take you into that next element. But whatever it is, we are doing it. He has a variety of books, 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. John, you're going to let us know what your latest adventure is, I hope, today. Finds him at Kremer sites, and he's going to give us some of those because he has goodies to do. I would encourage you to follow his blog if you are not doing that. So, John, what is the blog where you go directly to your blog?
Bookmarketingbestsellers.com.
All right, so there you go. And if you want to be a bestseller, that's probably where you ought to start. Bookmarketingbestsellers.com, and sellers is plural.
Yep.
On that. All right. So with that, John, welcome back to the show. We're here.
Thanks a lot. So I enjoy our semi-annual conversations, and I really love, as you know, as you do, sharing information with people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So where are we going to start today?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, one of my clients, consulting clients, said, can you put together a marketing plan for me? And so I created a 10-point marketing plan for him. And I'm actually going to start off backwards on it.
Oh, good. All right. So number 10.
We're going
to do it the David Letterman way. Yeah?
Something like that, yeah. Because the first point is one we've talked about so many times before that I thought I would switch it around and start at the end, and so that we make sure we cover that.
Oh, good idea.
and a lot of what we're doing in book marketing in today's world, of course, is online marketing because it really is so much easier for people and not as time consuming, not as expensive. But there are a few offline things that you should be doing. Mm-hmm. And one of them is targeting major magazines. They still have big audiences, anywhere from, several 100,000 all the way up to
millions,
10 million or more.
Yeah, millions.
And
yeah.
The thing is, they're desperate for information. I mean, magazines are dying. I would suspect that we're not going to have very many magazines in 10 years. But we have them now, and I love them because that's what I use for reading material in my other office, my wife calls it.
Well, you know what, John? That's me too. I like magazines. I like to sit down and just and actually I'm ready to actually rip out from some of them. You know, there's online magazines. I actually like magazines
I do
where I
too,
can
because I
get
do
paper.
like to rip them out.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
And actually, here's a stack of ripped out magazines right now.
I'm proud of you. I do that. You know, I have to control myself when I'm in offices, and sometimes they have magazines out, and I'm in the waiting area, and I'm going through, and I'm going, can I quietly tear this out?
Yeah,
Okay,
rip
that
out
would
that
be
one
really.
page.
I, I have done that.
I've been tempted to do it too. Um,
Mhm.
but anyway, you should target at least one major magazine that reaches out to the audience you want to reach out to. And actually, I would target 10 magazines.
Target 10, right? Can
But, but,
I'm in it.
in
Yeah.
my own experience with working with authors, if I get them to do one, I'm lucky. So I just started with one. If you just focus on one magazine and you just give it bam, 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 you keep contacting them and you become, you know, the one thing that authors have a hard time with is being rude. You know, thinking that, oh, I'm going to be bothering them. But,
Oh no.
if you've got a good story and they should be paying attention to it, and you know it's a good story because you read the magazine, you know what kind of stories they do, and you have a story that matches what they like to do, they should be responding to you.
All right. So do you have a hit list of who's on your top 10?
Top 10 magazines?
Yeah.
Well, no, it depends on your subject.
Okay. All right. So, but there, for example, if I was a business book, on my hit list would be Inc. and Forbes immediately.
Right.
You know, I
Absolutely.
mean, it could be Business 2.0. You could add on Newsweek, which is going to be harder on. But, you know, one of the times I did that, John, I actually ended up on the cover of Newsweek in a caricature. They were interviewing it as a business thing, and they had four of us on there. And I remember following up with they gave me the name of the cover guy was identified, and I actually contacted him and I said, hey, is there any chance I could do the animation you did of me? And he said, no one has ever asked me. And he said, yes, you can. So
And
uh,
obviously, for me, Forbes is the top business
yeah,
magazine,
yep,
and
absolutely.
that would be the one I would reach out to for sure.
Right. So I'm going to tell you that all of you, I think this is a great idea. I think I would move this into my top five, but I would do this. And remember, it's a good idea to pick up a copy of the magazine so you can look at it, so you know what we're doing. If you know anything about Forbes, most of their articles are like 2 pages. And I had a one of my colleagues used to write for them, and they were designed for bathroom reads. That was Forbes' MO. It's a bathroom read short. So whatever you're going to, pitch towards them, 2 pages.
And that's true for all the magazines. And quite honestly, if you're writing about a subject, you should be reading the magazines that are targeting your audience anyway. So you should
Mhm.
have experience with them. You should be subscribing them or buying them in the newsstand, things like that. So you have a familiarity with them. And the chances are you're going to find some good content to put in your book by
Yeah,
reading the
absolutely.
magazines.
Well, also, I subscribe to Forbes and Inc. actually, and and I get and I look very quickly online. I'm looking for stuff because I get ideas for blogs really fast, just
Right.
sometimes by a headline.
Right. Or just a quote or a line in a story that says, "Wow, that's an interesting idea." And
Hmm.
so, I like that. I also do, of course, online watching people's podcasts and newsletters and so on, and that's valuable too. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in another point. But I really think you should be targeting magazines. A lot of writers, they say, well, I want to get in my local newspaper or I want to get in New York Times. Well, the odds of getting in New York Times,
Mm.
Washington Post, LA Times, really,
Yeah,
really small, unless
very.
you're a local author or you're a national author.
Mhm.
But magazines, they target a specific audience, and if you're writing for that audience, it's a natural fit. So I really encourage you to target magazines over newspapers.
Okay, so I'm going to do an add to that. If you are an expert in a certain area, what are the associations out there that cater to that membership? Most of them have magazines, and contacting them, that would be my, my sub 10 here. That I have done. I hope.
You can't do this. It's my list.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna add to it, John. Don't forget to associate magazines, because here's the other deal. If they pick it up, if they have an annual meeting or anything, guess who might be invited to be a speaker? And guess, if you're a speaker, let me tell you, this is how I sold 1 million books, is by speaking at associations. So,
Well, as long as we're talking about that, we'll go jump to point 8.
oh, okay. So point eight, and are we coming back to nine? I can hardly
We'll
wait.
come back to 9, but point 8 is to speak. And
Okay.
the best thing is to speak at live events, conventions, whatever, wherever you have a live audience. It can be incredibly impactful, and you can really move a lot of people to be interested in what you have
Yep.
to offer. Because once they hear you speak, and if they like what you're talking about, they're going to be an evangelist for you in a way that they wouldn't be if they simply read your book.
Hmm.
And so I really encourage you to get out there and speak. And I know a lot of authors who are, wallflowers, whatever you want to call them. But the thing is, you got to get out there and you got to bite the bullet in a sense and get out there and speak.
Hmm.
Because I was that way when I first started off, butterflies, the whole thing, worried about what I was going to say and so on and so forth. But lately, if somebody's introducing me, I push them off the stage because I want to get to my talk. Because I really enjoy speaking. I really enjoy interacting with a live audience and not only giving the presentation but taking questions and interacting on that level. And I always learn more speaking at conventions than I ever give out because
Hmm.
I'm always quizzing everybody that I meet at those conventions or events or whatever they might be. So I really encourage you to get out there and speak. It's really I would say that probably 90% of all business bestsellers and self-help bestsellers were generated that way by people going out and speaking.
Hmm. No question. No question. That was my experience for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it really makes a difference. And it's really part of that is just your job as an author or as a marketer is to create evangelists. Um, people that will come out, will advocate for what you're doing. And that's something that you do better live. Now, yes,
Yeah.
you can do the online thing like we're doing here, and yeah, I'm giving, in a sense, a speech and so on, but it's not quite the same as live. It's
It's
not
not
that
the
you shouldn't
same.
do it, because you
No,
should.
no. But there's a difference thing. Number one, when you connect, I mean, we had it kind of down to a formula. We know that no matter where I was speaking, if there was, it was audience of 500, we know that we would sell at least 150 books, at least. And of that 150, one third to, a good 40%, that they would buy more than one book on that. I mean, so we were like a traveling bookstore, actually. Um, and going out there, and it does make a huge difference. You're right. It's that interaction, it's that live, it's just being present. And I just want to say this as a speaker, do not be a swooper. Do not swoop in and give your talk, even though it could be just off the wall, unbelievably great, and then split. because people want to interact with you.
Right.
They want that opportunity, and that's way not only will you sell more books, but also you'll get more speaking gigs.
Absolutely. In fact, you get a lot of them just from referrals. When you do one convention or one talk,
Hmm.
somebody comes up and says, "I'd love to have you speak at my event, my convention, whatever it might be." And that's really where it starts, the word of mouth starts to go.
Hmm.
And books sell by word of mouth.
Hmm. And being there live, selling books this way, being there live, people will pick it up and take it with you. The problem with the Zoom cathedral, or any other, whether it's WebEx, I don't care what it is, that they're maybe their intentionality is, oh yeah, I want to get their book. But boy, when the meeting's over, it's gone, they're gone. Okay, now, oh, another call's coming in and you're waylaid. It's very hard.
Right. And it's just not quite the same thing,
Mhm.
in a Zoom meeting or something like that. I really love having the interaction with the people that are there.
Mhm.
And but I really like it live. And when I've spoken
Me
at
too.
your events, I was always there
Yeah,
for a few days. I wanted to sit in and
absolutely.
I
Me
wanted to
too.
steal people's ideas.
Borrow them.
And I got great ideas from people at your events
Hmm.
always.
Hmm.
And that's
I
true
know.
wherever I went. And so it really can make a difference. And I'll give you one example. Okay, I'm going blank on the guy's name right now. The 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh, Tim Ferriss.
Yeah. Anyway, he promoted his book. He spent a year before his book was published just attending live internet marketing conferences. And he wasn't even a speaker. He was just going there to pick people's brains and so on and get to know people and take them out to lunch, buy them drinks, whatever, so that he got to know one of his prime audiences because internet marketers, they love 4 hour work weeks. So they were a natural audience for him. So him talking to them about his book, when he was ready to launch his book, he had, I think, somewhere around 50 or 100 internet marketers that were going to do a webinar with him to hit their audience. And so he was already a bestseller before national TV picked up on him and said, we got to interview this guy because he's obviously drawn a big audience. But he started by being, can I be of service? What can I do for you? So he took him out to dinner, drinks, or whatever, and he asked how he could help them. And from that basis, he built friendships, partnerships, relationships that became something more.
Hmm. And it helped propel all his books
It
and
does.
activities and things. Yeah, it's so it's a setup. I think that one of the big problems, I don't know if this is on your list at all because you didn't share me your list, but that it's the you've got to avoid the RTP, the rush to publish. It does take time to do setup and get it prepped and get it going and to expect the unexpected in the process because I'm going to guarantee it's going to happen with you. But the rushing to publish, I think, is almost the kiss to death for any book. So
Yeah.
that my two bits. All right. So
So
number
number
eight.
nine,
Oh yes, I'm ready. I'm writing down number nine.
and that's to target one major national TV show. TV is
Okay.
still the big kahuna in terms of media. A lot of people watch it, a lot of people pay attention to it. TV can still create bestsellers. They can still help sell a lot of books. Um, it's tougher to get on TV now, I think, than maybe it was even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but
I think so.
it's still worthwhile. And I would target at least one major national TV show. And again, same thing, bang, bang, bang. You keep knocking on their door, present a different idea, do whatever you need to do. They want to know two things. One is, do you have a good idea? Is this something that will interest our audience? And two, Are you presentable? Or can you communicate?
Yeah.
And they want to know that. And that means you have to be ready with what in TV world sound bites is everything.
It is sound
Those
bites now.
clever
Yeah.
little lines that people will walk away with and remember. It's the same with speaking, which we just talked about. If you create memorable lines or tell memorable stories, people will share your speech. They will share what you share on a national TV show.
Mhm.
And the worst thing you can do on any appearance like that is to say, well, it's in my book.
Oh
You
yeah.
should you
Oh
should give, you know,
mm, yeah.
I'm not afraid to give away
That
the entire dang book if I need to,
he,
uh,
he-
because people will still buy it. They still want a piece of you.
yeah.
So you should never be afraid to share what's in your book, especially if you've got a great soundbite that goes along with it. And that really can make a difference with national TV. And I target at least one, but again, I like the number 10. So if I'm doing it, I'm doing targeting 10 shows. And that
We're
means
okay.
at least
So
once a
our
week they're
top
hearing from me.
so a top 10 list is going to have 10 things in each 10 things
Yeah,
you're going to do repetitious. You know what you're saying, John, the smartest thing, the wisest deal to don't say it's in my book or in chapter 7. No, tell me what it is in chapter 7.
yeah,
Phil, I was on Phil Donahue's show several times. I loved Phil Donahue. And it, before Oprah came along, he was number one. He was
right.
the number one to get on. And the producer said to me, trust Phil. Don't don't say the name of your book. Don't repeat the title. We're here for you to share information about your topic. And she said, if you do that, you will not be invited back. Bluntly, the hook will come out. Uh, and I remember one of the best times I did his show about 5 or 6 times, and on different books because every time I had a new book, they invited me back. And that on my dicey topic book on why women undermine women, they had a panel. It was really controversial. And Phil came up and he said, "Would you stay? Can you stay after the show? My audience just wants to talk to you. I want everyone else, everyone's gone, but can you just stay here to talk with my audience?" That was cool.
Very much so. I mean, and that makes a difference. And, you know, you have to, when you target a TV show, you have to provide them with some of the sound bites of the things that you would talk about.
Mhm,
You have to pitch them with a good headline. And quite honestly, I'm not that concerned about a news release. I much prefer a good letter,
mhm.
personalized to that show. Uh,
Yep.
and it's so much worth it to spend a little time to actually do it right, and then to try to blast off to 2,000 TV shows and expect
Oh,
some sort of response. I don't know if
and
there's even 2,000 TV shows out there.
might not be, but you know what? You need to watch a couple of their shows. I'm just going to tell
Yes,
you all that. You need to see how it's structured. And when we would do the pitching, we never did it with a PR person. We actually designed a show, suggesting a show, the topic that
right.
here are other guests that that would be included. It was great.
Yes, if you do the work for them, the producers
Yeah,
are much more likely
they
to
love
want to
you.
work with you, not just then, but in the future.
Hmm.
And that's part of it because TV shows, I think especially, feel like they're of service to their audience. And it's like you said, if you're trying to advertise your book and show it and talk about it, that's not service in their mind. But if you
Hmm.
provide great content, they'll do the job of telling people about your book.
Hmm. Hmm. And there's just so many things you can do here. I mean, that's what I did a lot. That's how I ended up on 1,500 shows. But that is what you do, and they do you bring you back. And And there is almost a hierarchy, so if you're talking about the top morning shows, that would be Today, that would be GMA, and your whatever CBS calls their show. But then you've got CNNs, and you've got Fox and Friends, and you've got all those, and you're figuring out your pitch. And Don, you're already starting me. I'm gonna do a pitch for I'm gonna try to tie in publishing with AI. Does it make sense? And I had a whole thing understanding what the difference between AI generated versus AI assisted was, and eyeing that. And I don't know if you've noticed, but with all the AI, there is a template that AI comes out with recommending how to lay out a book and how to do a book, and it's all looks the same. Very interesting. So how do you, if you're going to be the creative, how do you differentiate yourself from that out there
Yeah.
that can create a book in a day? All right.
So, number 7 is to create an email newsletter. If you don't have one, you should have one.
Hmm. Yep.
And you should try to get wherever you are, that's one of your goals is to have people sign up for your newsletter.
Hmm.
But then you have to be consistent with your newsletter, which I'm terrible at, but you're great at.
I am.
And
I
I
am.
really admire that part of what you do because you're incredible in terms of your consistency with what you do in terms of marketing.
Thank you.
And
And
and anybody listening in that doesn't subscribe to her newsletter, get on her list because you can model what she does.
yeah.
You
I
should get on
and
my list, but don't model what I do.
No, consistent. I think consistency is really relevant, and I have a consistency to how actually it goes. I always I always share a tool for authors. My newsletter is for authors and writers. I always share a tool I've come across. I think you might want to know about. I always the number two is always feature a publishing provider that I trust on there. So maybe John, I'm going to make a note. Let's feature John Kremer next week. Okay, number two. See, and I know what that means, right? And then I start going in. Okay, these are activities. This is I'm going to do a special workshop. You got a kids book? I am doing a special workshop coming up that limiting it actually to 20 people. I'm bringing the author into my home. We are going to have a 2-hour workshop. I'm going to include her book and I'm going to include lunch. We're going to do that. And so I will have that. So anything going on or replays a webinar, and I always have all my podcasts for the month. That will be like number 7 or 8. I always have a question of the week. That would be maybe number 9, and number 10 would be, something to make you feel good. Some silly, fun, happy, sing. But it's a formula. It's my
Right.
formula. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's more important to send out some sort of communication than make it long or involved or all that. You do it great with you have a long newsletter,
I have a long newsletter. I do.
but it's easily consumable.
Hmm.
And but it takes work. It takes work to get that out. But
Yeah.
even if all you do is send out a paragraph, communicate once a week with your audience, the people who have raised their hand and said, I want to hear from you. And, that I think is really important. And I really think it's, short content rich emails are incredible. They can really make a difference. So I really want to encourage you, if you're not doing it, start to do it. And I actually use a service called Substack,
Yeah, you do.
substack.com to send out my emails and my podcast. And it's free. And it's, you develop a list and you send it out that way. I like it. It's the best email program for me for what I do and the way I think. So
Are you charging for your Substack?
I do not charge for the Substack. I do have an upgrade, and Substack allows you to do an upgrade so that there are some things that people sign up for, and I do. I have a premium program, and they get special content.
And
And so
and
that's a
how?
really neat thing about Substack. And the
Yeah.
reason it's free is because they hope that you will offer a premium service and then they take a little piece of the action. And it's a small piece.
Okay. All right. So we've got that and how how consistent are you with your premium on your Substack?
I'm terrible at it. I go in spurts.
I
It,
know you do.
it's, it's, I'm not sure why that's the case, but that's the way I work. And I wish I were like you because I know that the consistency is far more important than even the content you have.
I think so too. Because some content is going to be gold and others are going to be, bronze. And, and it's that's going to happen. But when there's,
But
you
if you
just
get them in the habit of expecting to hear from you, and it has to be at least once a week because once a
have,
month, you're out of people's mind.
Mhm.
And they see an email come from you and they ignore it because they're not expecting it. I expect to get things from you, I think at least twice a week.
Yeah, you get a blog every Tuesday. You get the newsletter on literally we do have a formula. Tuesday's an informational blog. On Wednesdays, the newsletter. On Thursday is we push out the podcast for the week. And on Saturday, I have another mini blog that could be just 4 lines. And it's not designed for information per se, it's designed to chew on, something to think about, maybe something for you to improve
Right.
yourself or something to get off your ass. It's something, but it's always short and sweet and done very fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can vary it that way. Or you
Hmm.
can be
Oh, yeah.
consistent by having, two different ones, a longer one and a shorter one.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and then number five, I have to do
Six.
five first, and then I'll go back to six.
Oh, okay. I'm here.
uh, I encourage you to host a summit. A summit is basically a gathering of anywhere from five to up to, I've seen 20 people on a summit, each of
Mhm.
them sharing some content. So it's like uh, a 3 day summit or something like that, where you're having content and you have a certain number of speakers, and it's all done online.
Mhm.
And I encourage it because it helps you to create relationships with the other top thought leaders in your area when you invite them to speak at a summit. You give it a great name. And I've seen summits on almost all subjects, so I don't think it's something you can't do. But the great part of it, it's twofold. One is a summit, everybody that's going to be speaking at the summit is asked to promote the summit. So
Yep.
it's not just your audience that's getting the notice, it's the audience of the other 5 to 10 to 20 guests that you have on that are also sending out and promoting that summit, probably more than once. Ideally, 2 to 3 times, maybe even up to 5 or 10 times. Because obviously, if you're doing a 3 day summit, you hope that everybody on this speaking on the summit is emailing every day, reminding people, hey, the summit's still going on. We still got some great content. You can still get in free, whatever. Most summits are free to attend, and then they sell the recordings.
Hmm.
And then, of course, every speaker has their pitch, something. Some are very, very aggressive pitches, and some are more soft sell pitches. Um, and that's fine. But you decide what you want to do in terms of hosting a summit and starting to create that. Now, you might go to point number 6, and that is to participate in other people's summits. And maybe you start there. Maybe, if you don't have the relationships to host a summit first, start by participating in other summits so that you start to find out who else already guest on other summits and might be open to being on your summit.
Hmm.
But by participating in other summits, you get promoted again by all the speakers on that summit because they're all promoting, hey, here are the top 10 speakers in our area. They're going to be talking about such and such, and it's going to be a great time. It's going to be an incredible event. We hope you'll attend. And again,
Okay.
if a 3-day summit is too much for you to organize and do in the beginning, well, then do a 1-day summit or, a 2-hour seminar where you have 3 speakers or so on. I think you've done that a number of times.
I haven't done the online summit. I mean, I do one day
No, but I
events,
think
two
you've
day.
done like
I've done, yeah, I've done my own workshops and stuff. But to doing it, so John, why don't you and I do a summit?
we should.
Okay, why don't we put together a summit? We'll do this post call, but put it together because
No, let's do it right now while the iron's hot.
sorry, we'll have it all done in the next 15 minutes and done. But it would be make sense, and you and I know a lot of people to bring
Yeah.
in. The real issue is what's the infrastructure that needs it? What are all the moving components to make that work? That's what really has to be done to me,
Yes.
and going that out.
And
But I'm
actually, we should do a summit so that we can sort of model for the people that are listening in here. When we
let's do it.
announce the summit, they can see
Yeah,
how we run it, how we
yeah.
organize it, how many promotional emails we send out, things like that. Uh, we can even share at some point the emails that we send out, or letters, or phone calls we make to potential participants, so that people can get an idea of how to organize the summit. And maybe we can do a course on
I think check, check, and check. Um,
it.
I think that would be you all do want to think about, okay, so what can I do? Because the magic word, and nobody has said it here, but I'll just go ahead and say it. How do you monetize stuff that you're doing as you're going out? So I like that idea and doing it. And of course, where John and I come from, it's all going to be about authors. It's going to be about book marketing and elements of publishing. It's so that's our market. That would be the market we would go out to try to bring people to the party. I'm already writing lists of the authors to ask, of speakers to ask.
I
It's so
already have
bad.
some in my head too.
I know. And just doing together, John and I like to play, so it's got to be fun because it's work. This is a big work thing.
Yeah.
It's got to be work. I'm committed. I am less inclined to want to do a 3 day because of that work thing and doing and people wanting to make the commitment to that time. And usually what they do is they cherry pick. Okay, so I want to hear this person or I want to hear this topic. It's like a book title. It either
Right.
solves the problem and what's the pain, or I know who the person is. That's how you put that together.
Right.
And I'll tell all of you, John, for years, because I used to do the AuthorU extravaganza. And I can't remember what we did over a dozen years. We did that where I brought in speakers from all over the country, and it was a 3 day event, and then we went to the 2 day event because people just couldn't. But it was always about the schmoozing and the camaraderie, and it cost. And this was in person, everybody. And let me tell you, we were talking a very, it cost a lot of money.
In person and good food.
And yeah, oh yeah, because the number one bitch is going to be the food and the temperature in the room. I'm just going to tell you.
That's for live events. But for an online summit, you don't have to cater the food.
No,
Uh, I
no,
guess you could Uber out to everybody.
uh, I don't
But
think so.
anyway, the summit is very much like your author you extravaganza. It's basically
I've
the
done it.
same thing except it's
Yes,
online.
that's
And
right.
again, it's you would have to decide how long you want to do it. Like I think for our summit, we might do 3 or 4 hours for 2 days.
What and I love that idea. I love that idea. See, we're already structuring everybody and going into it. But the other thing is, I'm going to tell you, if you jump on to this summit thing or doing workshops or whether, here is one of my pet peeves, is when the presenter does not have any handouts or anything available. I like handouts. And I
Ooh,
believe I believe that they get them before the presentation. And I tell people, make sure you print out this workbook. Make sure you have this all out because there's going to be a lot of information that you're going to want to
We're
have,
going to revolutionize summits. I mean,
yes,
just
we
sending out what you're saying there, the workbook, sending that out ahead of time, it's a great promotional tool, but it's
yep,
also something that all the summits I've been to, none of them I
none
don't
of
think
them do
any
it.
of them have done that.
No, and it's a pet peeve of mine to do because once the thing's over, it's out of sight, out of mind, usually, unless they have paid for the premium push up. But I also I'm now I'm on my bandwagon here, but I think it's really important that you have on every handout that you have, please put in a footer, and I want a little copyright symbol, 225. I want your name, all rights reserved, and then I want to have you have your website, your email, your contact. Make that a habit to have on every handout you have so they always know how to reach out to you. Just
Every
saying.
page of the handout.
Yes, sir.
I
That's
like that. Great work.
that's
So,
the Judith Briles way.
and the thing is that they can be a lot of fun to do. I did one for romance novelists. They had a summit once, and I did a program for them on online marketing for romance novelists, and it was a lot of fun to do.
Mm-hmm. I would. It's just like this little thing I'm going to be doing for children's authors. You know, you know. Yeah,
Yeah, so
and
you could
someone
make
said,
a summit out of that at some
yeah,
point.
I could. It's well, actually, I'm doing the test model in my front room, John. In my front room, I'm limiting it to 20 people. We're going to go through. I am studying what's going on and doing it, and then come back to turn it into a more extensive so we can go global. People said, "Are you going to record it?" And I said, "No, I'm not. You either show up, you either sign up and you show up. There's 20 seats. That's it. No, and then you're online, you can record. But no, I'm not going to go in. I don't want to have to worry about I don't want to worry about that. I just want to be focused and pay attention to the 20 people and my
Right.
speaker. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
so
I'm
that was
excited.
6 and 5.
Yeah, and we have a new business we're starting, John. Okay, number 4.
And point number 4 is social share great content. And
Mhm.
again, I would say focus on one social network. It doesn't mean you
Mm,
can't do multiple, and I recommend you do multiple,
mhm.
but I think you should focus on one.
So pick a primary, as you're saying.
Yes. For many authors, that's probably Instagram.
Could be.
But,
Could be.
as you know, my love is Pinterest.
I know you love Pinterest. And you know what? We should do a new Pinterest workshop. We haven't done a webinar on Pinterest in a long time.
Yeah.
So let's
So
go
we
back
can
and
do
revisit
something
it.
like that. Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm
Uh,
starring it. We'll
but
set it up.
again, the thing here with the social network is a consistency,
Hmm.
doing it, and the thing is with different programs you have, you can set it up once and it will tweet out multiple times. It will post to Instagram, things like that. I think you use some program, don't you? For
I do.
Twitter at
Yeah,
least?
I
X.
oh Twitter X. Because I still have 65,000 followers there, but with that said, between my three little platforms, but I think that it's important to have a CRM, all of you. So let's just add that under John's number 4. CRM is known for as a customer relations manager, and that could be a Hootsuite, it could be a Buffer, it could be a Later, it could be a Planoly, it could be a Publer. I mean, there's a gazillion of them out there. You find out
Right.
what works for you, but they
Yeah.
will allow you to post something and then hang it out to multiples. And when I'm doing campaigns, it's out to multiples all at once.
And you do that for every episode of this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, John and I are going to picture, I think my picture I'm using this year is I'm lifting the weight. We're going to help you lift your, publishing marketing weight. And John's picture, and it'll go out and the, top 10 marketing strategies. And that will go out, and I will send it to my entire email list on Thursday, and then it starts going out social media. So,
Yeah.
yep, that's the goal here.
And so social media is still valuable. People pay attention to it. In fact, some people live on it. And
No,
it's
don't.
a tool. Find the one that you like the best.
Yes.
Obviously, X is very political. So, that's one thing I love about Pinterest. It's not political. It's self-help. It's people sharing things that they
Hmm.
love.
Hmm.
And so that's why I like that. But Instagram is sort of like that. And for a lot of people, it's a little bit easier to use. I'm not sure why. Uh, I like Pinterest because it includes links on every post. Um, so, you decide how you want to do it. Facebook, I think you should be on Facebook. You maybe should have a Facebook group or a Facebook page, um, those kinds of things. But again, you have to decide where you want to spend your time. Again, we all have limited time. So that's why I say focus on at least one social network.
Well, yes, but and then I don't know what his number three and two and one is, but because inquiring minds want to know that it's important to. I do a lot. I have a lot. I have anywhere from 10 plus up social media posts a day, every freaking day. And do I post them all? Absolutely not. Do I post maybe 5% of them? Maybe. I have help. So, John, do you have get a VA on your list?
I don't, but
Okay.
it's a good
So
idea.
let's put this under, this is a 4A. Get help.
Get a
Get,
virtual assistant
get
uh,
help.
that can help you, especially if there are things that you don't like doing and somebody else likes doing and does well. That's what a virtual assistant is somebody that likes doing something specific and does it well.
That's right. And they're consistent.
Yes, because you're paying them to be consistent.
They have to be consistent. That's how I do all I do. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
I'm ready
Point
for number
number
three.
three
Yeah.
is make short videos and post them to YouTube, Rumble,
Yes.
Vimeo, TikTok. And then, of course, you can do it to Instagram and Facebook and so on, Twitter. They all can take short videos.
Almost everywhere now. It's
Yeah,
very interesting. And the short, when YouTube came out with shorts, as they call it, they're known as shorts. And when they dropped, I all my videos on YouTube, I have like close to 200 of them there, or like 3 minutes. I go, okay, bring it in 3 minutes. Now the shorts are under a minute. So it's edit, edit, edit. But those are those nuggets that you have or insights.
right. And people are accustomed to consuming short episodes, short, so it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be arduous. And the reality is you can create probably the best strategy for creating videos is to do 10 of them at a time.
Yes, absolutely.
Take one evening or one weekend afternoon and just record 10 videos. Because I think one of the things that a lot of people have trouble with, and especially in terms of videos, is all the prep time, all the end time, all the
Yeah.
organizing. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're in the groove, it
Mhm.
goes so much quicker and it's so much more efficient so that you can produce 10 videos and then schedule them out.
Okay. So, John, like my little book, How to Avoid Book Publishing Blunders, there's 200 of them in here. Okay. And there nobody is over 2 pages. A lot of them could just be 1 page. I could pound out 20 in an hour. Really. You're open, you're closed, 20. This is the kind of stuff that those of you who are how-to authors out here, this is your gold mine to do this kind of stuff. Your gold mine. So,
And the thing is, videos are easy to create nowadays. There's so many
Oh,
different video platforms that you can use. And even like PowerPoint now allows you to record live events. And I've been doing a number of my videos using PowerPoint. And they put my nice little picture in the right corner, and then there's my PowerPoint slides, whatever I'm using, and I just record it that way. It's really simple and easy. Of course, there are programs out there like Camtasia and so on. And if you're a subscriber to Microsoft, they have a video program now called Clipchamp. It's part of your subscription if you subscribe to the Microsoft. Uh,
365?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. And it's called Clipchamp.
Clipchamp.
All right, I don't know it, but I'm going to go play with it.
Yeah, and it's relatively easy to use, and it's again something that if you're subscribing to 365, it's there. It's in your toolbox.
Well, and also I'm just going to add that since he's already talked about PowerPoint and Microsoft 365. Awesome, awesome slides that you can make within 365 that will take your slides to a whole new dimension.
Yeah.
So, slides don't, speeches shouldn't be, you need to add to your motto, bye bye boring speeches, bye bye boring slides, bye bye boring blurbs, bye bye boring talk bites. All
So,
right,
that's 3A.
yeah,
And obviously, depending on your audience, you look at different things. Like TikTok is a young audience for the most part.
yeah. Well,
Um, so if you're an old fogey like me, how do you do it? Well, you swear a lot, and then you're cool. Have you noticed that there are a lot of politicians that are into making TikTok videos now,
yes.
and they're swearing because
I
that makes them cool. Uh, so anyway, that's one thing. Now, point number two
go good. We have
is,
3 minutes to go, so we're right on target.
yeah. So you need to host your own podcast, at least an episode a week, and you just need to do it. Again, it can be short. You work with what your mind is. I like interview podcasts sometimes, and there's a podcast that I watch every week. It's called The Online Committee. It's about football.
Okay.
They have so much fun doing it. It's three guys, two guys that were
Yeah.
pro football players, and one guy who is a media guy. And they talk about
Ah,
everything doing with pro football, and they just you can tell they like each other, and they play with each other, and they do an hour-long video once a week, sometimes twice a week, and I like
whoa.
it.
Well,
And
a lot.
they syndicate it to podcast platforms as well as to other online
Yep.
platforms.
And you can push it all out. And a lot of people say, like, our show is an hour. I always started with an hour because I can always find stuff to talk about. I mean, I've only had one guest that I thought I got to pull the plug on this baby. Um, and that's over 7 years, John. Not bad, not
Not
bad.
bad at all.
But that I just find like, this hour I think has gone pretty fast. And to go through that if you've got in ideas, and I've never put strings on my guests. I said, just give me 5 to 7 bullets that we're going to talk about. I listen to you. I'm going to be interactive. I'm not going to sit and just nod my head. I'm here with you. And just, I think it makes a better show.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
And so I really encourage you to do a podcast. I mean, you'll start off with a small audience, but at some point it'll start to build as people talk about it, as you start to share it and do things. And
Mhm.
so the last point is to be a guest on other people's podcasts.
Okay. Well, I
And
knew.
there's
Okay.
two great websites out there to help you find a podcast for you.
Okay.
Listennotes.com,
Uh-huh.
listennotes.com,
Okay.
and matchmaker.fm.
All right. So
They're great
listen.
places to list your podcast, but also a great place to find other podcasts to be on. I found some great guests that way, and some incredible guests, in fact, that I really loved talking with, and I learned a lot from.
Yeah, and guess what? If you do your own summit, and we're going to have to sign off here, do your own summit. all the speakers on your summit will be your podcast guests. And with that,
Right.
John Kremer, thank you so much for being with us for another
We did it.
fun. That we did. We're up. The tunes are here. Everyone, see you next week.